Bowlers, today we are covering everything and anything there is to know about asymmetrical bowling balls, what they are, how they differ from a symmetrical ball, when you should use asymmetrical bowling balls versus symmetrical balls, what kinds of bowlers will like them better, and then we're going to go over some of the top bowling balls that are asymmetrical in different categories on the market today. Today's video is sponsored by bowling.com. They are one of the largest online e-tailers for bowling equipment, just in general, balls, bags, shoes, accessories, apparel, a little bit of everything. They are really good friends of the channel. I'd really appreciate if you guys go check them out next time you want to buy any of your bowling equipment online. They have everything and anything. They have some of the lowest prices and either match some of the lowest prices as well. They're usually changing their prices quite a bit to try to stay very, very competitive. So I'd really appreciate if you go check them out. I'll have a link down below in the description, along with a link to an article that they wrote about asymmetrical bowling balls, where this video is really stemming from. And just for the record, I did buy an Ion Max for like 165 bucks on their website just a couple of days ago, so highly recommend. But anyways, let's get into asymmetrical bowling balls. Let's start first. What is an asymmetrical bowling ball? Well, when we mention symmetrical or asymmetrical, what we talk about is the core of the bowling ball, the inside of the ball. And we're going to go back to your 6th or 7th grade math class for this. So if you guys remember what a symmetrical shape versus an asymmetrical shape is, that is actually just exactly the same for bowling ball cores. So if you look at a perfect square, we call that symmetrical, but all of a picture on the screen of another shape that is asymmetrical, some kind of trapezoid type thing, where if you fold it in half, they are not the same on each side. That's what an asymmetrical core does. Asymmetrical cores are really, at the end of the day, meant to hook more and be more angular when they see friction. Symmetrical bowling balls really are there to be smoother, be later, and be rounder, be smoother down lane. They're sometimes a little more versatile than their asymmetrical counterparts. Asymmetrical bowling balls are there for hook. They are meant to hook a ton. They are meant to hook earlier and just more than their symmetrical counterparts. So a lot of people see asymmetrical bowling balls as the bowling balls you go to when you're early on in a tournament, when you're early on in league, when you just need that little bit of extra early hook compared to a symmetrical ball, which might be a little too unpredictable. Now, for all of this, we are very generally speaking, there are some asymmetrical bowling balls that act very similarly to symmetrical bowling balls, and there's a couple ways we can make an asymmetrical bowling ball like a symmetrical bowling ball. But really, the main thing with the core, numbers-wise, what we need to care about is a third number on the core. So when you have a bowling ball, there's two numbers that always get shown on that ball. There's the RG, radius of gyration, and the diff, otherwise known as the differential. We have a couple videos about bowling ball cores, so make sure to go check those out on the channel. But for an asymmetrical ball, we have a third number called the int diff, intermediate differential. This number really just determines how much extra flare, how much extra hook that bowling ball is going to have. So if you grab two cores, one of them does not have an intermediate differential number, one of them does. The one with the intermediate differential number is going to flare more and hook more. What this means is that when you're laying out a bowling ball, when your pro shop is drilling the ball and putting on a layout for it, they can actually really manipulate how that ball is going to react. You can manipulate an asymmetrical core a bit more than a symmetrical core based on whatever kind of reaction you want. This was a big thing for Mo Pinnell. That's why Radical for the longest time made so many asymmetrical bowling balls, because he loved asymmetrical cores because you can really manipulate them and change them a lot. So now we've looked a little bit into what makes an asymmetrical core different and what that third number means on an asymmetrical core versus its symmetrical counterpart. So now, why does this matter? Who does this actually fit for? Who is this meant to be for? For an asymmetrical bowling ball, these are generally meant for all bowlers. I always recommend that all bowlers have at least one asymmetrical bowling ball in their arsenal if they have 4+ bowling balls. If you bowl tournaments, it is almost a necessity to have some kind of stronger asymmetrical bowling ball just because of the amount of oil that sometimes gets put out. Now, if you're a league bowler and you only have 2 bowling balls, you don't need an asymmetrical bowling ball specifically, but my biggest recommendation is if you're a speed dominant bowler, asymmetrical bowling balls are going to be your friend. If you're speed dominant, that means you have a tougher time getting the ball to hook and shape down lane. That's where an asymmetrical ball comes in handy. So if you're somebody who can't get your phase 2 to hook all that much, I would recommend something like an Ion Max. That's an extra level of strength. It's going to hook earlier. It's going to be a similar down lane motion, but it's overall that early hook is going to be what helps you be able to hit the pocket in a consistent way and not leave so many flat 10 pins. But I did mention tournament bowling, and that in the early games are going to be where you see asymmetrical balls most. If you watch a PBA qualifying block, you're going to notice a lot of really dull and a lot of really strong bowling balls. That's just because of how much oil they put out and how tough the lane pattern is. If you're throwing these asymmetrical bowling balls that are super, super dull and they have usually controllable layouts on them, that's really what they need to be able to get the ball to hit the pocket in the right way to be able to maximize those scores, get those 220s, 30s, and 40s. Symmetrical balls in that slot generally won't be that great. They just aren't the best on super, super heavy oil. Now, there are some exceptions, you know, the stealth mode, the phase 2. Really, really strong symmetrical balls can be better, but none of these guys are going to be throwing that rock star amped on the fresh conditions. It's just way too unpredictable being a symmetrical core. So that's where these asymmetrical balls are really going to shine. And if you're somebody who bowls tournaments, I really recommend having one of those earlier on in the day. If you're a league bowler, asymmetrical balls can be really, really good on those league conditions when there's a lot of oil in the middle of the lane and not much on the outside. We call that cliffed. That's where these asymmetrical balls are best, because what asymmetrical balls do is when they see friction, yes, they want to be sharper, but that core tends to sometimes roll out. When it rolls out, that means the ball is rolling forward. I mentioned earlier, symmetrical balls want to be rounder with a more banana shape. A lot of asymmetrical balls have more of a V shape where they see friction, you can watch them hook, and then they roll forward towards the pocket. Asymmetrical balls do that a lot, and that's where on league conditions, especially early on, that's where those excel. So tournament patterns, early league conditions, that's where the asyms are best. But now we've covered everything there is to know about asymmetrical bowling balls, when to throw them, where they fit, etc. So let's talk about some of the best on the market right now. We're going to split this up into 3 different categories: asymmetrical solids, asymmetrical pearls, and mild asymmetrical balls. That last one is a real wild card in there. We're going to start with the best asymmetrical solid balls on the market today. There's 3 main options here. There's actually one from every company, which is ironic. Number 1 is the Storm Ion Max. I think this is still the best asymmetrical solid on the market today. This thing does everything you want an asym solid to do. Had a ton of success on the amateur tournaments, on PBA Tour, in league. It has actually an 899 to its name. This ball has been really good, just exactly what you want an asymmetrical solid ball to be. Now, number 2 is going to be the Brunswick Mesmerize. This is, again, another asymmetrical ball that you really know, it really does what you want an asymmetrical ball to be. I mentioned previously that asymmetrical cores tend to roll forward, and that's a problem a lot of the time. These Ion Max and the Mesmerize and the third ball I mentioned don't do that as much. That's usually an issue. That usually means the ball is less versatile when it's doing that too much. So these bowling balls, while they're super strong, they don't want to do that as much. So that's where this Mesmerize comes in. It's a little bit quicker down lane than you would expect a lot of asymmetrical solid balls to be, but this is definitely the best one from the Brunswick brands. Then moving on to motive, we have the number 3, which is a ball I actually have, is the Jackal Onyx. The Jackal Onyx is by far and away the best solid Jackal we've had in a very long time, excluding the Jackal Ghost, of course. This one acts just like an Ion Max, where it is still super early, it still wants to dig early, but it's actually round when it sees friction. It doesn't go forward off of it. And I can say that from experience. Like I said, I've owned one. I've actually shot a 300 with one. It's really good on league conditions, and it's been pretty solid on tournament shots. Next up, we're going to asymmetrical pearl bowling balls. These are the ones you go to after those asymmetrical solids are hooking too early. On our ZVL categorical scale, we usually have these in the strong and sharp category. So our top 3 right now are going to be the Black Widow Mania from Hammer. This is just a pearl Black Widow. The Black Widow Ghost was the previous installment, and that ball was beloved. So this Black Widow Mania falls right in line, a little bit quicker. This is really exactly what you want to see from an asymmetrical pearl. It's going to be that step below all those other asym solids we mentioned. Still quick down lane, not too quick, still a big core. Really, really good bowling ball for a lot of people. Number two, these are in no particular order, by the way, is the Motive Avocasteria. This one is probably arguably top one or two bowling balls on the market today. This Avocasteria asymmetrical pearl, pretty big core inside of it, but the cover stock is kind of unique, where this ball looks like a symmetrical ball when it's rolling down the lane, but the core is so strong that it doesn't act like one. It's very odd where the down lane reaction, like I said, it doesn't lock up and go forward, but it still wants to hook super early. This ball by far has been the best ball on the PBA Tour in 2025 so far. It's one of the most drilled bowling balls on the PBA Tour, and I have not heard a negative thing about this ball since it came out, which is shocking because almost every other ball in the market I hear something bad about. And then ball number three is actually a little bit of a sleeper. This is the Brunswick Combat. This is basically Brunswick's version of the Avocasteria. Phenomenal ball. Again, very round when it sees friction. Still big core, so it wants to hook early enough. Fantastic for league conditions. Fantastic when you want to play a little bit straighter with a shinier bowling ball. And our final category is going to be the mild asymmetrical bowling balls. One of the new trends that's been happening a lot lately is we're making these asymmetrical bowling balls in cores. However, they're not actually strong. They actually lower the differential and they keep them fairly weak. So they're weaker than some of their symmetrical counterparts. These balls originally seemed a little niche, but they're actually very, very usable. We're going to talk about all three, and these are three bowling balls that I think can be thrown on nearly any condition right now. And number one on this list is going to be the Ion Pro Solid. This is another ball of the year candidate right now. This ball has a lower RG, so it wants to hook earlier, but a really low differential, so it's not going to flare that much. This ball is actually weaker than things like the Phase 2, like the Rockstar, that are symmetrical. So having an asymmetrical core doesn't always mean it's going to be stronger than a symmetrical core. This ball is a little bit weaker, but this thing is really good for blending the wet dry, blending that cliff. This has had a massive amount of success from a lot of professionals, even though it released after the pro season, just in a ton of amateur events. This has a ton of league success. This ball is just really, really good right now. Ball number two is going over to Hammer with the Effect Tour. This ball has, again, really low differential, lower intermediate differential, lower RG, very similar core to the Ion Pro Solid, a little bit stronger, but a much stronger cover stock to it. This ball is really good when you want to play straighter on those tough conditions. This is a control ball. This ball will control the back end of the pattern very, very well. That's what that Ion Pro Solid and the ball number three we'll mention do as well. Just all about that control. If you're somebody with more axis rotation, your ball spins more sideways than it does end over end, these bowling balls are going to be pretty good for you. Effect Tour is probably my most used bowling ball of the last 12 months. It has been a very, very good piece, especially for Hammer, and especially if you're on these tougher conditions. Then ball number three, speaking of tough conditions, is the Storm Ion Pro. The Ion Pro Hybrid was the first one to come out, actually smoother and slower than the Solid, which is all types of messed up, but that's what the reaction is. The Ion Pro Hybrid is really good at playing straighter. If you want to play up the lane a little more, you don't want a crazy down lane reaction, you like those more old school, slower ball motions, this Ion Pro is going to be for you. That's exactly what this thing does really well. It is just like that Ion Pro Solid, but a little bit smoother and slower down lane. And there you have it. That is everything and anything you need to know about asymmetrical bowling balls in under 15 minutes. Now, if you have any questions about any asymmetrical bowling balls on the market today or anything about these bowling balls, please let me know down below in the comments. Hopefully this can help you guys make the best purchase with your new bowling ball and try to figure out what bowling balls fit your game best versus which ones you should really avoid. If you really enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscription. Remember, if you want to buy any of the bowling balls we mentioned today, go check out bowling.com. Again, their links and everything will be down below in the description. They have some of the best prices on the internet today. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next one.